know somebody in university that cut themselves on the wrist. And their name, their identity stays anonymous, but the moral of the story needs to be shared. And it needs to be shared because a lot of people don't understand the difference between physical pain and emotional pain. And when I talked to this person, I said, why do you cut yourself? Because I know a lot of people cut themselves for different reasons, whether it be, to feel something, to have awareness, attention, whatever your reasons may be, it's not a good thing. All right, but this video isn't about cutting yourself, it's about how to deal with emotional pain. And the answer that this person gave me was, it's because it's easier to deal with physical pain and understand what's going on than it is to understand and have a concept of what's going on inside of me. And this hit me like a truck, because the more you start living life, the more you start experiencing things, it's emotional pain that starts stacking up. Physical pain is easy to deal with if you really think about it. You get punched in the eye, you get a black eye. All you really need is time to heal. All you really need is your body, let your body do its thing. I got a scar on my face. Obviously there was some work involved in it, like with a little bit, deeper scars, deeper painful experiences that are physical. There was some like massaging and whatnot involved with it. But the overall story, or the overall understanding of it, is that with time your body will naturally heal itself. Even I recently got a tattoo, and with time my skin is going to be healed, even though it was painful as shit. A lot of people will say, oh, tattoos are not painful. Tattoos are, oh, you're a little bitch if you think tattoos are painful. Obviously this wasn't like 10 out of 10 painful, but you sit there for 9 hours, it starts getting painful. Like at one point my hand was just numb while they were like shading or like carving in the lines. It's no joke. And the difference is, you learn how to deal with physical pain because, when you're a kid, you trip, you fall, you bruise your, hand, you break your wrist. Like I've broken my wrist so many times as a kid, skateboarding, rollerblading, and you just learn how to deal with it. You break it, you cry, and then you put some ice on it, and then over time, a couple of days, weeks, months, it heals, it's back to normal. Obviously, the younger you are, the faster you recover. But nobody really teaches you how to deal with emotional pain. You lose somebody, you go through heartbreak, you go through emotional trauma, just things that affect you internally rather than externally. So in this video, I'm going to kind of explain how I deal with things internally, how it is important to not suppress the things that you are feeling inside, or else they're just going to come back and ruin your life 10 times worse. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I'm going to start kind of turning these into like a podcast series, so I'm just going to start labeling them episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and whatnot. And eventually I'm going to start bringing people onto this channel to start interviewing and having them talk about their story. It's going to be like a psychological, philosophical based podcast, just because those are like my interests. And then obviously, the main theme is going to be self-development, but just hearing other people's stories, just hearing what people go through is probably going to be the main theme, just to help you guys understand that everybody goes through shit, everybody is dealing with something, and hearing how people overcame and gone through their stories and their challenges and their difficulties might help and inspire people. But right now, let's get back to this topic. So, emotional pain, whatever it may be that you're dealing with, is, I like to say, water. Think about it as water in a pot, water in a boiling pot. And if you're like me, sorry, by the way, if you have ADHD and you need things like fast, I rewatch all my videos on 2x speed. I suggest you watch videos on 2x speed because you're going to get the message a little bit clearer. And, I like to go through flow. Like, I'm not just going to speak from like a written script. I like to talk and get ideas and bounce through things and work with ideas. So if you're a person that gets bored really quickly, like most people, make sure to watch this video on 2x speed. It's not going to be too long, but let's get into the metaphor. So your emotions are like water in a boiling pot. And what happens when a pot starts boiling? It has an empty hole and it starts making a sound. It starts making a sound like a whistling sound when the water gets boiling, when the water gets hot, like, right? So that way the water is boiled, it's ready to pour in whatever, instant coffee, tea, whatever you're using the water for, boiling macaroni, whatever it may be. But there's an indication that the water is boiled. So there's a whistling sound and then it starts whistling and then you understand that it's ready. With your emotions, with things that are going on inside of you, inside your life, there's no whistling. You don't really know. You just start to feel uncomfortable. You start to feel, something's going on inside of you. And most people tend to resort to suppressing and numbing because they don't know how to deal with it, right? So they develop vices. They develop vices like drinking, gambling, alcoholism, porn addiction, sex addictions, whatever it may be, just to not feel what they're feeling. Kind of suppress, press away, move it to the side. And that's why all these people, because everybody will go through some sort of emotional trauma in their life. But that's why you see so many people develop like alcoholism or drinking problems or whatever it may be, because they haven't dealt with what's going on inside of them. And when you start feeling these things and you don't have the emotional maturity to sit in that uncomfortness, that is think of the metaphor of the boiling pot, that's your steaming whistle. That's it notifying you, hey, you're feeling something. And don't numb it, don't suppress it, learn how to feel it. So how do you learn how to feel it? But, to finish off the metaphor, it's, with a boiling pot, the boiling water is your emotions. The moment it starts boiling, it gets a whistle. You take it off the fire, or you take the lid off and let it all evaporate. You have really two options with boiling water. You keep it on the fire and it evaporates, and then eventually there's no more water to boil. Or you take it off the fire. But with humans, on the other hand, you can't really take yourself off the fire. So what instead you have to do is you have to learn to have your emotions evaporate. So let me get into that. How do you let your emotions evaporate? How do you sit in them or understand what's going on with them? Number one is you have to sit, or what I do is this might be a little bit, TMI, but I kind of like to sit or like lay down in like a chair and like what I did, I think like a week ago, was just basically like lay down in like a fetus position and just really feel inwards. What's going on inside of you? What's going on, and what kind of emotions are being brought up, and what kind of thoughts are being brought up with those emotions. Because the reason people feel uncomfortable and won't sit with their emotions is because of the thoughts that are associated with those emotions. Right? So for example, let's say you go through a heartbreak. The thoughts that are associated with when the pain of the heartbreak comes up is, oh, this person is with somebody else. Oh, this person is, doing these acts with somebody else. Just painful, uncomfortable thoughts. But the moment that you sit with them and understand why you're feeling them and ask yourself, okay, why are you feeling these things? Oh, okay, it's because I cared about this person. Okay, it's because I love this person and developed a relationship. Whatever it may be for you. Then you can truly understand and allow yourself to feel and understand the reason why you feel the way you feel. So that's number one. Sit with yourself and ask yourself these questions. Feel where you're feeling these things. Like if you're feeling like anger or rage, right? Why are you feeling anger or rage? Don't just drink your anger or rage away from you. Oh, I'm so pissed that, whatever, this girl cheated on me, for example. And then you're going to have all this bottled up anger and bottled up rage inside of you. And then what's going to happen? You're not going to learn how to deal with it, so you're just going to drink it because you don't want to feel angry anymore. Feel angry. You deserve to. Right? But don't press that on somebody else. Don't let somebody else, absorb your anger. But just, it's okay to be angry, You got cheated on. Who cares? Right? It's allowing yourself to feel that anger because it's part of the human experience. Anyway, so let's move on to step number 2. Once you've felt, identified, and understood where these heightened emotions are when they do come up, because emotions are like roller coasters. Some days are better than others. It's kind of like this, right? Until it eventually comes to a flat line once you've gone through that emotional roller coaster. Okay, so number 2, once you've sat with yourself, once you've understood why you feel the way you do, how you feel, then it's time to do step number 2, which is the most important step, is find somebody safe, find somebody that you trust, find somebody that you feel won't judge you, and find somebody that will, most importantly, listen without, talking and, giving their opinion, but just rather giving you a set of ears. God gave us 2 ears over one mouth for a reason. And then open up. Share what you're feeling. Share the thoughts that are associated with your feelings. Share how that situation makes you feel. Because sharing and talking to somebody that you feel safe with, what it allows you to do is provides you with clarity. It provides you with clarity, and more importantly, it starts the healing process and where time can start doing its thing. So, for example, let's say you've gone through something in your childhood. You had an abusive father or something. He was an alcoholic and, he beat you. Whatever, some crazy, trauma that you're going through. And every time you think of those moments, they just hurt you, they hurt you. And then you start becoming, angry, resentful, rageful, and then you start becoming an alcoholic yourself. And then all there is just a cycle pattern, right? Most of these emotional traumas and pains, they're just cycles and patterns that people go through. So what do you need to do? You need to feel how that situation makes you feel. Remember, it's not unmasculine to feel things. It's just, that's what human is. Toxic masculinity is suppressing your feelings and bottling them up. Because back to the boiling pot example, what happens if you keep that boiling water inside that pot and try to clog the hole? Don't let the water evaporate. Clog that, or there is no hole. And all you're doing is just clogging, suppressing, clogging. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen eventually. The fucking pot is going to explode. Even if it's made of the most toughest metal on earth. Right? That's how steam engines were created. the more you suppress, the worse it's just going to, you're a boiling pot waiting to explode, right? So if you have a boiling pot, if you have that steam whistle, and then you clog that steam whistle somehow, and then you have that lid to let it evaporate, and you don't open that lid, or you block it off or something, eventually that pot is going to explode. And that pot, use that as a metaphor to understand yourself. So how do you let it evaporate? You let it evaporate. First, you hear the whistle by feeling it, and then you let it evaporate by talking to somebody about it, somebody safe, not just any random person. If you don't have a random person, this is why partners and marriage and having a significant other is so important. Because this is the one person that you can trust with your life. This is the one person that you can trust with whatever is going on inside of you, and share everything in a non-judgmental way. Right? This is why I was, never, like, the whole hookup culture, the whole one-night stands thing, it's just, like, it causes more harm than good. Because boys and girls, they were meant for partnership, not hookup culture. But anyway, that's another video for another time. That's why marriage is one of the most important things, right? Because you're going to go through this life feeling things, experiencing things, have things emotionally happen to you. And you need to have somebody that you feel so safe with to open up, that they're not going to judge you, that they're not going to make fun of you, but that they're actually going to listen and help you absorb that pain and help you work through it. So, once you found somebody, you don't, this is mostly for men, like women do it a little bit differently, I guess, but I guess the same principle kind of applies. Open up and share how those experiences make you feel, how what you're going through lights up something inside of you. And not in like a, like a bitchy kind of way, like, oh, I'm going through this, oh, I'm so sad, oh, woe is me, oh, life, oh, just like, you're a man, you're not a pussy, you're not a wimp. Like, the more masculine you are, the more in tune you are with how you feel. That's how you reach true masculinity. That's how you reach true manhood, is understanding that you're a human, understanding that you're a man, and understanding that you're allowed to feel things and working through them, not suppressing them, right? Suppressed feelings are like, they're not human. Like, it's inhumane. That's where losers are born. That's where alcoholics are born. That's where gamblers and all these like lowlifes are born. Because they've suppressed, and they keep suppressing until they reach such a low point of their life. Because they just rely on the suppression. So, and what that allows you to do, going back to the metaphor, what feeling and what speaking with somebody allows you to do is, like the boiling pot, feeling is that whistle, right? Oh, something's boiling. Something's inside of you that's going to happen or that's going to erupt. Then speaking to somebody is allowing the water to evaporate. And then after you do this for a long period of time, and you've gone through this process, just like with anything, time will heal. But time only heals physical pain. Time plus sitting and speaking is what heals emotional pain. And that's why, therapy exists, right? There's a reason it's such a big thing. Like, people are going through so much mental health problems. But the therapists, what their job is to do is to, A, give them a set of ears to listen to, but B, help them understand why they feel the way they do. Help them understand, what they're going through. And more importantly, allow them to give them a safe space to express and feel them. Because some people are very lonely. Some people don't have somebody they feel safe and comfortable with, and it's a lot of men. A lot of men don't have, I didn't for a long period of time feel like I could share, what's going on inside of me, until it almost, until it almost killed me. Like I had to. Like I was about to explode if I didn't tell somebody something. So yeah, I would say, obviously, therapy is one option, but if you don't have somebody, go to a church, like I'm Catholic, like you can go to confession, or go speak to a priest. Like they're more than willingly to help you listen. And if not, then I don't know, like it's hard when you're alone. It's hard when you don't have like a group of men. That's why it's important for men to be surrounded with other men. But for those of you that are alone, just reach out to somebody that you think will be there for you. Because a lot of the time, like, we aren't alone, but we feel alone because we feel like we can't share with somebody. Somebody, even if you don't, maybe you don't have a father, or you don't have a best friend, right? You might have an uncle. You might not have a relationship with him, but if you don't want to go to, a therapist, if you don't want to go to a priest, if you don't want to go to like your local church or something like that, then reach out to the uncle or something, whatever it may be, just to get you to start talking, because that's what's going to allow the water to evaporate rather than stay inside of you and eventually explode. Yes, thanks for watching. That was definitely one of my more intense and one of my more serious videos. I'm going to start doing more of these, but I'm also going to, my main purpose here is to help you guys reach the best version of yourselves, physically and mentally, and I guess now emotionally, spiritually too. But my still main goal is, the foundation of all of this. It all starts with fitness. Like that's how it started for me. And if you are somebody that is struggling with your fitness, you have really two options. With me, at least, two options with me. Like, you have millions of options, but with me, you have two options. You could book a 1 hour consultation down below, or you can apply for fitness coaching and mentorship. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Remember, I'm going to leave you like I always do. Create more than you consume. Serve others. Love everyone. Peace.